I'm Frank Gaffney of the Center for Security Policy. You know, it's interesting that Barack Obama picked Aretha Franklin to be the chanteuse of his inauguration ceremonies because, of course, her signature song is Respect. And there's been a lot of talk since Barack Obama became president of the United States about how much he wants to respect the Muslim world. Unfortunately, the way he's doing it makes it look a lot more like he's spelling respect S.U.B.M.I.S.S.I.O.N, submission, not respect. That's because as he reaches out to the Muslim world, in both his rhetoric, for example, in the inaugural address, and then in an interview he gave, the first interview, in fact, he gave to any network subsequent to his inauguration, namely Al Arabiya, a Saudi-owned broadcast channel. Barack Obama has made his words and his deeds something that I think is being perceived by our enemies in a very different way, perhaps than he intends, but certainly than is in our interest. For example, the president in his first day in office closed Guantanamo Bay, began the process, I should say, of closing Guantanamo Bay. He, with an executive order, precluded U.S. intelligence services from using what have come to be known as aggressive interrogation techniques. He shut down the facilities around the world that the CIA has had to use from time to time to hold and interrogate some of the most dangerous people on the planet. We also now know that in the period before he became president, he was using intermediaries, or at least had people that were working with him in the course of his campaign, like former Secretary of Defense William Perry, as interlocutors with some of our enemies, notably the mullahs of Iran. In fact, a senior advisor to the president of Iran, a man who has talked about wiping Israel off the map, a man who also has talked, by the way, about a world without America being not only desirable, but achievable. This senior advisor to Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has apparently had maybe as many as 5 meetings with this senior advisor to Barack Obama's campaign, Bill Perry. We also had reports, a very reputable reporter by the name of Bill Gertz has published a newsletter in which he says diplomatic sources have told him that the Obama team was also, in the months before he became president, in fact, in the months before he was elected president, opening channels of communications with Al-Qaeda, in which he, according to Bill Gertz's sources, was exploring the possibility of abandoning not only Iraq, not only giving up on trying to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, but actually abandoning Afghanistan as well, as part of some kind of ceasefire, or as the Arabs like to say, hudna, temporary lull in the fighting, that Al-Qaeda would agree to if these conversations actually produced any desirable results. These are the sorts of things, Guantanamo, interrogation techniques, black sites, Iraq, of course, he's talked about withdrawing on an accelerated basis, irrespective of the conditions on the ground there, cutting a deal with the Iranians, cutting a deal with Al-Qaeda, that I'm afraid will not convey a notion of respect for the Muslim world, but rather will signal submission, will signal to their eyes, at least those that adhere to this theopolitical legal program that authoritative Islam calls Sharia, that we are in fact agreeing to subordinate our interests, to acquiesce, in effect, to surrender to this most radical, this most toxic strain of the Islamic faith. This would be a peril to all of us. In fact, I think what it would spell is disaster, disaster.